Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
He was a tremendous writer.
He, in totality, is definitely the greatest Bengali fiction writer that we had in this century.
We must say that it is his direct vision of India that he depicted in his prose art writings.
He was very much a loving father to us.
I think this sweep of experience will be remembered by the future generation.
He lost his father when he was 8 years old. When 18, his mother persuaded him to migrate to Calcutta for higher studies. He came to Calcutta and joined the St. Xavier's College, came in contact with students waging a war against the imperialist rule. A fiery speech resulted in his banishment back to his village, where he was kept under house arrest. Released at the end of the First World War, Tarashankar returned to resume studies in Calcutta, but ill health made him abandon any ambition in that direction, a shock from which his mother could never recover. Back in the village, Tarashankar started supervising his limited inherited zamindari and devoting time to social work, which resulted in growing familiarity with individuals not only in the village but in the entire Birbhum district. It was during the cholera outbreak during 1922 to 24 that Tarashankar moved towards writing by scribbling verse, which subsequently appeared in a 1926, now unavailable publication, Tripatra, Three Parts. The next stage of creativity was drama. But the turning down of Maratha Darpan by a professional drama company in Calcutta made Tarashankar abandon drama altogether. His abandoning of drama heralds the beginning of Tarashankar's rise to preeminence as a writer of long and short fiction, an amazing output. While his first novel, Deenanardhan, was read and critically evaluated, it was a 1928 short story, Raskali, which determined the destined future course. But just then came Mahatma Gandhi's civil disobedience movement, and like writers in other parts of the country, it did not leave Tarashankar untouched. Participation in the movement resulted in a 4-month rigorous imprisonment in 1930. On release, he vowed to serve the motherland not through political movements but through creative writing. This marks the beginning of the second phase of Tarashankar's unparalleled evolution as a great 20th century Indian writer.
When he was alive, we had our doubts. I must confess, we thought, at least I always thought, that after Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay, the next position of honor should go to Vibhuti Bhushan Bandyopadhyay. In fact, others thought that the seat should be divided between the three Banerjees, Manik Banerjee, Vibhuti Bhushan Banerjee and Tarashankar Banerjee. But now I am convinced that after Sharat Chandra, that honor should go to Tarashankar Bandyopadhyay. He, in totality, is definitely the greatest Bengali fiction writer that we had in this century, after Sharat. Now when I go back and reread some of his stories, I find that not many authors or short story writers of our time could match him. I have always wondered why he did not conquer the whole of India. Sharat did, before that Bankim did. Mind you, Tagore never did it. Tagore is, as we say, an all India writer, quite often by courtesy. People know that he wrote Jana Gana Mana. People know one or two of his poems like Where the Head is Held High, etc. But beyond that, most Indians do not have any direct experience of what Tagore wrote, except his philosophies. That is a different thing. But Sharat was probably the only Indian writer of our time who could be discussed in great detail. If you are traveling on a train, and if you have a Tamilian, if you have an Andhra Pradesh man, if you have a man from Kashmir, a Bengali and Oriya, you could, if you want to discuss Indian literature, after Ramayana and Mahabharata, the only person available was Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay. We thought that this will be followed by two of our great writers, Tarashankar Banerjee and Sharabinda Banerjee. But in both the cases, it didn't happen. I don't know. Some people say that the background, the locale, the problems, etc., were not of an all-India nature. The complicated zamindari system, the permanent settlement which was peculiar to Bengal, could not be sold very easily to the rest of India. I don't believe it. My own hunch is that he has not been launched well, he has not been translated well, and if I may say so, not marketed well. There are quite a lot of stories of Tarashankar which even if you say that they were located in villages, have an, I would say, universal appeal. People didn't expect that you will be a household word, that everyone will talk about you. But devoted readership, yes. In that sense, till the second part of his career, I think he was never on the best-selling list. But he had a consistent followership. People who would once read him would be addicted to him.
He was a tremendous writer, an excellent short story writer. His short story will live forever, I think. And if you say about his novels, the Gana Devata or Dhatri Devata or Panchagram and so many of them, Kalindi, it speaks of an era which unfortunately lost today. And the first time I saw him, because I wanted to make a film out of his story, Hansuli Baki Rupa Kotha, is a world famous novel. They've translated in English and many other languages. It's a saga, it's a voluminous, very and it's a detailed description of the villages, of the bonded labours. And when I went to him, and he immediately agreed, and he said that, oh, go ahead. What? I made the complete script, and I went to him, and I said, Dada, have a look at the script. He said, no, I don't understand anything about film. You write and go ahead. So then I told him that I would like to shoot the whole thing in Labpur, where, the locale is best in the novel. So he said, then in that case, I'll come with you. He was 70 years old then, perhaps more than 70. And as you know, he was very frail and not keeping good health. He ruined his health himself because he used to drink 47 cups of tea a day. Because he was very, when he came to Calcutta to struggle, then hardly had any money, so he could, keep his appetite with teas only. That eventually damaged his liver, and he was a very frail-looking man, but tremendous courage he had. Anyway, when we together went to Labpur, and it was rainy season, the car wouldn't go, and so we had to walk miles and miles throughout all the villages. I was seeing all the villages, and then one day, this is remarkable, I have written about that in many articles, that we were about 5 or 6 miles away from Labpur, and it was very hot. And then I saw that he looked very tired. We were in the midst of the field under a tree. So I poured a cup of tea for him and offered him a cigarette. But then I saw that he was in a pensive mood looking beyond the horizon, and then he said, Tapan, would you like to keep a bet with me? I said, Dada, what sort of bet? I'm too small a person. Well, he said, no, you challenge me. If you challenge me, then I can tell you in a radius of 10 square miles how many trees are there. I was absolutely shuddered, We cannot count the people. We don't think of the man or the people. And this man, and he can count all the trees. That's why those kind of writing came out of his pen. The first time I read his novel about more than half a century, sometimes in 1940, is Dhatri Devata. And I was I was really struck. And within 5 or 6 years, he completed all his works. Published till then. And it was a unique kind of experience for me. Once he told me a very interesting story. I think you'd like to hear this story. He was traveling from Calcutta to Lahore. And on the train, some young man was doing this and that, those kind of things. He was unruly. And after some time, Tarashankar called him to come here. Then he said, what do you do? He said, I do nothing. Do you read Bengali books? He said, yes. Then Tarashankar introduced himself and he said that my name is Tarashankar Banerjee and I write novels. Have you read one of my novels? Then he became quite, yes, sir. In reply, Tarashankar said, well, I'm very sorry to hear that you have read my novels because I write novels for honest people. So that's something that he told me this story.
An unparalleled chronicler of life in the Indian villages, Tarashankar published 108 books in a career spanning more than 5 decades. These include 50 novels, 41 collection of short stories, 9 plays, 4 parts of autobiography, 5 books of essays, and 1 collection of poetry and a travelogue. He received numerous awards and distinctions, including the Rabindra Award in 1955, the Sahitya Academy Award for Arogya Niketan in 1956, and the Gyanpith Award in 1966 for Ganadevta. His last novel, Sukasari Katha, appeared in 1967. The period between 1939 and 1944 is regarded as the most productive phase in his career. A creative outburst that started in 1939 with Dhatri Devata lasted till 1944. Ganadevta, Panchagram, Hansuli Banke Rupakatha, Kavi. One classic followed the other, and it seemed the floods would never subside. But soon the creative upsurge settled to a smoother flow. This marks the beginning of the 3rd chapter in Tarashankar Bandyopadhyay's innings as a writer of long and short fiction. Many of these epic novels had been originally written as short stories. The period in which Tarashankar prospered as a writer was not conducive for the publication of novels. Popular magazines and newspapers preferred serializing works of well-known authors. So when Tarashankar attained an enviable literary stature, he converted many earlier stories into monumental novels, which explains their structural looseness. Amongst Tarashankar's other major novels are Kalindi, Abhijan, Vichitra, Mahasweta, Na and Guru Dakshina. While he authored some of the finest stories ever written in India, he will always be remembered for his touching Shamshan Ghat, the cremation ground. This story, which was written in 1932 after the death of his 4-year-old daughter, rocked the Bengali literary scene for a long time.
My father was a very, very beautiful father. He was very much a loving father to us. We had so much of problems which were imposed on him from time to time, and he used to give us time and solve them very peacefully. We have come to this house on 1950. My father left us in 71. He got his first fountain pen in 1938 or 40, something like that. He was used to write like a student each day from morning till the midday at 12, 12:30, even 1. But if he was disturbed during his writings, which he was doing it sitting here in this chair or in the desk, he was getting irritated at that time because he was put out of track of his thinkings. He used to sit here in the morning at say 5 or 5:30 and he used to clear his temple. I mean, I say use temple, but the place where he was worshipping. He used to clear the floor with his own hand. And thereafter he used to worship. Then he came down here and he started writing.
Regarding Tarashankar's sources of information of writing the novels, we can say straight away that it is India that he saw in his own eyes. He saw the peasants working in his fields behind the plough. He saw the agricultural laborers working under the scorching rays of sun. He saw different categories of jamindars, rich, poor. So first his direct source of information. Then he was equally associated with the classics of India, the Ramayana, the Mahabharats, which nurtured him. He got many untold stories of those pages of the classics from her mother, who came from Patna, carried with him a different tradition in rural India. It is with her the rural life of Bengal got a touch of urbanism. It is she who brought the message of Bankim Chandra, the message of Kapal Kundala in the life of Tarashankar. Once he told in his novel that, you see, there is a piece in Kapal Kundala that life went out. That means the life of a man, light of a man's life went out. But he told, my life, my light's life went up. So whereas there is one part, there is end and there is another beginning. Besides, he was also associated with the contemporary politics, Gandhi's information. To him, Gandhi was the hero. The new India is coming up in the streets, in the villages, in everywhere, the new message. So from different corners of India, from rural life, from traditional India, from our mother who was born and brought up at Patna, from all these streams he could gather information and brought them to light in the pages of her novels.
I was interested in Tarashankar's writing when I was a student, and I got this, after my marriage, I got this opportunity. And though I read some of his books before my marriage, but now I'm close to his family and I've got the opportunity to read more books. In our busy life, we know very little about the rural life of India. And I believe that India lives in her millions of villages and talks in terms of rural people. And it is Tarashankar Bandyopadhyay who had given artisans, peasants to their own voice.
Following a tradition set by Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, Tarashankar Bandyopadhyay probably sought to emulate him by finding alternative outlets for creative expression. He wrote songs, molded clay, sculpted wood and stone into forms and shapes. He used paint and brush to draw living and abstract lines and faces. The Bandyopadhyay family is amongst the few inheritors who have sought to restore for posterity the great legacy thrust upon them by destiny. The Tarashankar family can take justifiable pride in having retained the place of the great writer's literary and artistic creations as it probably existed 25 years ago, and having added to it the literary legend's personal belongings. Although Tarashankar never ostensibly wrote for films, nearly 50 of his long and short works of fiction were made into some memorable films. These include Jalsa Ghar, Abhijan, Hansule Banker Upakatha, Gana Devta, Na, Kavi, Kalindi, Kamadenu, Accident and Aina.
With these three big novels, Gana Devata, Panchogram and Hansule Banker Upakatha, we can also mention some stories like Jalsa Ghar, like Daini, the witch, like Kala Pahar, the story of a buffalo. It's an animal story, or story of a doctor, who used to repress his own desires, carnal desires, you say. Actually, these are the most famous novels and stories which have given Tarashankar a permanent position in Bengali literature. But if we go into the details of these writing of big novels and short fictions and stories, we must have to go back to the background from where he came. He was coming from a village, the district of Birbhum, West Bengal, and his village is full of legends, traditional folklores, and his village is also a mixture of populations where Hindus and Muslims lived together with all their traditional values. And Tarashankar fully utilized the traditional legends and the people he saw, the snake charmers, the jugglers, the nomads. And these people he utilized skillfully when he weaved them into the texture of his novels and stories. No other novelist, I think, before Tarashankar, say Bankim Chandra or Rabindranath Tagore, even Sharat Chandra, can surpass Tarashankar, at least from the point of view of this vast range of village life, because every section of the people represents the village life depicted by Tarashankar. So when you come to Ganadevata, you will get the total class of people living together with all their beliefs and legends and myths and traditions. And this grand sweep you cannot have even in Sharat Chandra or Bankim Chandra or Rabindranath Tagore. Tarashankar, you see, Tarashankar had no sophistication about his writing novels. He did not study any concept of novel. Just he took the village life from his first-hand experience and took all the people together to put them into a grand gamut of life. I think he'll be remembered because the problems of the village to him is not an abstract idea. It is village means to him a large section of people having different ideas, different class consciousness, different mythological beliefs, different legends, and you can have them together with a view so that the village community can have some wholeness of picture where you stand to see the things going on in a grand scale. I think this sweep of experience will be remembered by the future generation. You see, the problem of a village Tarashankar deals with is a problem of every Indian village. Even if the present structure, social system, economic system of a village has changed in these days, still the exploitation is there.
Tarashankar Bandyopadhyay died in 1971 at the age of 73. But the lamp of creativity that he lit will continue to brighten the horizons of succeeding generations of writers, not only in Bengal, but the whole of India. His death seemed to have stunned the whole of Calcutta, and people thronged to his house to participate in the last journey. Tarashankar Bandyopadhyay is dead, but the literary legend continues.